Next to losing weight, learning how to make better money decisions is a top New Year's resolution. But to start improving your financial situation, where should you start? Here with some answers is Jim Ian, a financial advisor and financial services representative at Barnum Financial Group, which is an office of MetLife. Great to have you back with us, Jim.
Well, Jocelyn, thanks for having me back. It's great to see you.
All right, it's 2014. This is a good time to start looking at everything?
Well, it sure is. You know, we should be looking at this, our planning, our investments, the strategies that we employ all year long. But now that we're in a new year, we have to reflect on last year, what went well, what didn't go well, and the adjustments that we should be making coming into a new year.
All right, let's talk about last year. It's a great year financially. Stocks were crazy.
It was a strange year. It was a year that there were many investors that didn't fully participate in that market. There were a lot of headwinds that were working against it. But hopefully the average investor did pretty well. And doesn't mean it's going to be like that this year. We're cautiously optimistic about 2014, but if you experience those kinds of gains, you got to play defense. The best offense is a good defense. Take some of those gains off the table and try to protect your money.
Okay, as always, usually this time of the year, people start thinking about, especially if they're at that age, about retirement.
Yeah.
And so as they move forward, what should they be doing, especially if this is the year they're going to retire?
Yeah, we all want to someday trade in that paycheck, right, for a stream of income off of whatever it is that we've done. First and foremost, you have to put pen to paper. You have to figure out, well, what are my income needs in retirement? How much am I going to need, whether it be monthly or annually, to have the lifestyle that we expect and deserve? Next, certainly look at your predictable income sources. So Social Security, if you're fortunate enough to have a pension, those are the things that are going to continue to come in month over month without having to worry about your investments. Your investments are then going to need to supplement the difference. So figuring out a budget first, looking at those predictable income sources, and then taking income off of those investments, no more than 4%.
So this is how you figure out how much you need to save?
Absolutely, because then you can back into that and say, well, if I'm 40 years old or 45 or 50, and I'm 10, 15, 20 years away, what do I need to be putting away each and every year? What kind of return do I need to generate to get to that, big pot of money?
Well, it's also there's a pleasant surprise as well, is that you're actually spending less when you retire.
You sure
right?
hope so. Everybody's a little bit different, and there's sort of that rule of thumb that you sometimes hear, oh, I'm going to need 70% of my income, 80% of my income. Everybody's different, and that's why I mentioned you have to sit down with your spouse or significant other and do that budget. Figure out, well, what are your expenditures going to look like? Maybe you're going to do things that you weren't able to do during your working years, like travel, and that's going to add to your budget.
What about cash reserve?
Well, cash reserve isn't the most exciting thing that we plan towards. And you walk down to the bank and you're getting, 0.0 nothing if you're lucky. We're in a difficult interest rate environment. We're going to continue to be in an environment where you're not going to get a lot on your cash, meaning return. But cash reserves keep us out of trouble. Cash reserves are there, so if an emergency or an opportunity presents itself, we have cash to pay for the broken down car or the roof, as opposed to having to put it on a credit card.
So how much should you have set aside?
You hear a lot of different things. We're of the opinion, if you can put away 6 months of committed expenses, so those bills that you have to pay regardless of what's going on out there in the world, if you have 6 months, we think you really are protecting yourself.
Very good. Now, is the company retirement plan the best for some people?
Well, we find in doing planning work for people and businesses, very often that's the only place that they save. And take advantage of the company match. If you're fortunate enough to work in an organization that's giving you a match on your contribution, that's free money. So
you don't want to leave free money.
Do not leave that on the table.
Right.
At least invest up to the company match. But above and beyond that, don't forget that all of that money that you're putting into your 401k in most cases is pre-tax. So it's going to be taxable when you take it out. So there are other places that you'll want to save above and beyond the 401k or whatever the retirement plan is that you have.
So, but you should also be setting aside other savings as well, right? Other than the retirement plan?
We have other goals, whether it be to educate our children or whether it be to buy a second home. Break your goals and understand break your goals down and understand the time frames. Attach your dollars to those particular time frames, and then you'll be able to determine where to best put it.
And really quickly, when you're choosing a financial advisor,
Yeah.
what should you be looking at? What should you should be asking?
Yeah, you know, it's a great question. Personality is huge. You have to feel comfortable with the person that you're working with. That's going to be your coach. You're going to work very closely, and money is very personal to a lot of us. So you have to feel great about the person that you're working with, that your personalities match. Get an introduction if you can. Certainly, a referral is always the best way to meet somebody that's had a positive experience is making that introduction. And finally, you can go online and check people out. So brokercheck.com is a great place
Great
to just
idea. I didn't know that.
really important, because that's going to tell you, if you've been in the business as I have 17 years, you'll be able to look and say, well, have people been happy with Jim? Have they filed a complaint? Are there any pending issues? Go on that website and you can check out any licensed advisor out there.
And
in
you
the
tell everybody out there,
marketplace.
check you out, right?
They sure can.
Okay.
I'm clean. Yep.
Okay.
But they can.
And now to get in touch with Jim Ian at Barnum Financial Group, you can call this number 203-689-9011 or visit barnumfinancial.com. It says James Ian there. It is James
Yep.
or Jim.
You got it.
Got
Yep.
the same guy right there,
That's
right,
right.
Jim?
That's right.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're
Great
welcome.
to see you.
Up next, Chef Deborah Queen shows us how to eat healthy using a little vegetable that's bursting with flavor and color. That's when Connecticut Style returns.